get some oil on everything. It's 0.45 that he took off the head. So guys, it's time to have a proper look at the cylinder head on Silvia, the 940 Turbo. I'm going to go to the garage now and collect it, bring it home, get it on the dining room table, upset Miss Involvo'd probably, and we'll have a good look at it. Oh, lovely. What's that? Some of you might wince and cringe at me doing this with a blade like this. If I nick the head with the blade and I dig into the aluminium, and it is soft metal, it's very, very soft. So I need to be really careful. Maybe it needs to be skimmed anyway. There's a little bit of corrosion. There's a little bit of pitting on this ring here. Let's start taking things off. Should just slide straight off. So let's see then, we've got to be a little bit careful with this. Yeah, with the camshaft, because obviously some of the lobes are actually pushing down on the valves. It's going to try and force the cam up, and there is a lot of force on it, so the camshaft can actually snap. What we need to do is we need to slowly loosen the nuts. It's going to probably be tight as hell. And I'm a skinny as well, which doesn't help. Not much. You can probably hear something then. Hear it cracking. I can hear it moving. So what I need to do now, because it can suddenly jump up at any time once it just breaks those caps free and the pressure pushes it back up. And now the cam's loose, so we're good to go. Some of you are probably like, oh no, what has he got himself into? He's way out of his depth. And you would be absolutely correct. So now we need to remove our shims, because they're totally free. You can just lift them out. If we turn the head upside down now, they will all fall out. There's nothing keeping those in. Don't scratch the surface. Oh yeah. So this is probably why it's so noisy as well. Or what's left of a husher on the bottom of it. This is the, what they call this, bucket. And inside here is the shim. This comes out separately. There's like a disc that sits in there. So they put these hushers in here, these rubber things on top, you can see it there, to quieten things down, but they break up over time. And then you get some more engine noise, of course, and that's probably why our engine sounds the way it does. So there's a good side-by-side comparison. So you've got one that's completely deteriorated and disappeared, and then you've got, that's how wide it should be, that's how thick it should be. You can see it started to go there, it started to break up, and the rest have all gone. So one thing I didn't mention is why I actually took the camshaft out if there was no issues there. Well, it's for the head skim, so if there's anything in there, any swarf or any water, anything that's still inside there, that's essentially going to go into your shells when you actually start running the car. So at least with this clear, they can properly clean it through, and then even when I get the head back, I can actually blast this out with compressed air through these holes to make sure that those ports are totally clear. gonna get run over, isn't he? Those little f***ers. Here we go then, folks. Skim time. Yeah. Oh, look at that. There we go. Nice and shiny. So you can see actually some corrosion there, but like the depths of it. I mean, it's totally smooth. I can't feel it with my fingers, but you can see like the very base of it. So they didn't take off any more than they needed to. They don't know how much they took off. They didn't tell us. No. So we don't know if it was warped, but probably was. Doesn't really matter. It was corroded. He said that we've got another skim or two in it. I would have liked to have known the measurements really, but there we go. And they washed it for us as well. So
looks very clean.
That's a much cleaner head, isn't it? How much nicer that's going to look on the car as well.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
You could eat your dinner off it. He just called us back. Yeah, good job he did, because they took off. So 0,45. It's in order. It's not German numbers where
it's zero.
It's in order. 0.45.
Yeah, 0.45.
It's not like how you would say 45 cents.
No.
45-ish.
45, the other way around.
The other way around. I don't know. It's confusing. That's not important. It's 0.45 that he took off the head. You can only take off 0.5. 0.5.
You said something about there was so much corrosion.
Corrosion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those pits were deep. I was worried.
And it explains why there are still some tiny shadows.
Marks, because they just literally took it to the bare minimum. Yeah. Any more they couldn't have got away with. When you're talking about 0.05 of a mil, I mean it's really nothing. Mm-hmm. This piece here looks to me like where the head gasket has gone, because we've got black carbon there, and it looks like a clear path between the combustion chamber and one of the coolant passageways. It's telling us a story, isn't it? Where the head gasket has actually failed, we've also got valves that are a different colour, they're discoloured. Let's see if they leak, and we'll go from there. So we got some acetone. Strong. So we've got leakage here out of the inlet on this one. You can see it all over the Miss Involvo'd's garden table that our parents bought us. Hopefully acetone isn't bad on wood. Anyway, you can see it pouring out of there. And whilst I was talking, that one's emptied. It's a fair bit of leakage, that, isn't it? I just dropped the kids off and we can see 2 and 4 are empty, but 1 and 3 are totally fine. So yeah, so obviously we're just going to remove all the valves, and obviously paying special attention to these. So we've got more tools. You can see where it's been cut out well. More swarf to go into our engine. Yeah, it doesn't screw in all the way because they haven't cut the threads properly. These hushers are crusty. We use Miss Involvo'd's tweezers. Just don't tell her. That is hard work. Trying to push down on the thing. I'm sweating. I need a helper for this. It comes off in 2 halves.
In 2 halves. Yeah.
Then the other one.
And I have it.
So that's the collet. That's the 2 halves. And then obviously we've got the spring here. Hopefully you can see that. So you can see where there's ridges on the valve and this collet, and it fits into the valve and locks the valve into place. Now the valve will slide out. There we go. One leaky valve. What is it? Is it metal?
It's metal.
But that was sat behind the inlet valve waiting to come into the engine. Loads of swarf. So here we go, then I'm back dressed like a burglar from The Sims. And I'm going to carry on with this head. So now I'm going to lap the valves in. It's not perfect, but it actually looks weirdly better than a lot of the others, but that's the one that's leaking so dramatically. The actual valve itself looks fine. To be honest, it's really not that bad at all. So we'll see. Oh, one thing that I need to say as well. So I measured the head, and yeah, it's exactly what we thought it would. Just stabbed myself with the. Why does that end have to be so sharp? Not to say that this caliper is the most accurate, of course, but so we got a little bit of paste. Missing Volvo's tweezers again. Let's see. The valve looks nice, I don't feel the need to go any more on that. Now we'll just check the seat. Satisfying, really satisfying. Hearing it going from rough to smooth is a very satisfying feeling. I wasn't expecting that. Looks smooth, it feels smooth. Yeah, I say it's satisfying, but depends if it leaks afterwards or not. Will determine if it's satisfying or not. Right, so stem seals then. Let's see how we get on. Gold, stem seals. I like gold. That's nice, isn't it? Yeah, so guys, I opted for the 24 carat valve stem seals just to be flashy. Right, okay. Yeah, I can see swarf coming out of it. Swarf everywhere, guys. So bad. So I just hoovered up one of my, I don't even know what they're called, but I have to go into the hoover bag to get it. The bottom of where the spring sits, I didn't think that would come off so easily. I was trying to get all there's loads of dirt sat at the bottom around and I can't get it out. It's a bit hairy and a bit fluffy, but we got it. Check the spring. That one on top. Collets into position, even though I don't think it helps. I think you have to get them with the tweezers after. because obviously they're going to get pushed out of the way when it goes down, so I don't think it really matters, to be honest. Get in, you f***er. One goes in, one goes out. It's not cool, man. It's in. I think we're in the clear. Yeah, that's not leaking a drop. Let me just quickly, off camera, lap these valves in, get the other valves in. I'll measure all the springs and check the stems and make sure everything's looking good. Yeah, and then I'll bring you back in. So guys, the next thing I want to do, per my friend Collier's suggestion, is to test these sensors. I'm going to put it on ohms, and then I'm going to measure the resistance. We'll start with this one. So what we got? 4.23. So if we test the new one, 4.27, 4.26. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's the same, isn't it? So we know we're the same values anyway, which tells us that this sensor's probably working fine. And the new sensor, if they were different, we'd have to look into it and see what we should have. But our new sensor, you know, it says that this is fine, but I'm going to replace it anyway, because why not whilst it's off, you know? On this one, the gauge was reading fine, so 2.31. And then this one, now that's at 1.86. There is a difference there, and I've just noticed something as well. This sensor says FAE on it. This one, it says Calostat Vernet, but inside the box, the temperature sensor is FAE. And Collier did say it's the FAE ones that are a problem, and they give a false reading on the dash. Me hitting it will be opening the valve slightly and just moving everything and just moving the spring. It'll be moving the stem down and this part here, and obviously the spring as well. It's going to push it all down, and it's going to make sure that the collets are actually sat where they're supposed to be, because obviously if they're not located properly, maybe it could start to run and the collets could pop out. So the next thing we can do is fit the hushers. At least we might have a quiet engine for a little bit of time. This can affect your valve clearances as well. You can't check them straight away when you put everything back on, because this is going to interfere with it and it's going to tighten up the clearances until you run it a little bit and these hushers actually get flattened down. Yeah, it's not going to show up right, so you can't trust the values to begin with. Get some oil on everything. More oil. So yeah, I'm going to put some more oil on the camshaft. I think it was there, wasn't it? We need to put some sealant on the ends here, because you've got where the cap sits on the head, obviously the gasket, the valve cover gasket's going to go over that, but underneath it you've got metal on metal with no gasket, so it can leak out of there. So we need to put some sealant in between. So I'm going to clean it up. So I'm going to test out my new torque wrench. It looks a little bit like an alien probe. So yeah, there we go. I've got to put the distributor on, but obviously that's just 2 bolts. The video is going to go out before the head goes on the car. I think that's probably a good thing, because at least this gives you guys an opportunity to reach out and say, you f***ed that up. You didn't do that right. You should have done this. You didn't do that right. Check this, check that before it goes on the car. I'll see you next time when we get this thing back on the car. I'm really looking forward to it. If you want to see everything else that we've done on Sylvia, the 940 Turbo, you can click into the playlist here and you can see everything we've done on the car so far. See you next time.